So I actually recorded this video. This is my third time recording this because the first time I answered all the questions. That's what I'm doing, by the way. I'm going to answer these questions that I was supposed to answer I think 5 months ago. This is my third time recording because the first time I went through all the questions and I answered them all and the camera was not recording, and then I answered them all directly after that. I pressed record, and that was the second time that I answered them, but then I watched it and I'm very sad and dead and monotone. So I'm gonna redo it and do it where I don't sound like I want to literally not answer the questions. Before I start with the questions, I do want to say I'm gonna be doing a lot of arty kind of arty. I just pictured, when I said arty, I pictured that kid from Glee. But yeah, I'm going to be posting a lot of art videos and doing fun things that I want to do, as well as tattoo videos. So make sure that you subscribe if you want to see any of that. So somebody asked how deep the needle is supposed to go into the skin, and I think I actually read somewhere that 1/16 of an inch is how far the needle should be going into the skin, but nobody is measuring as they go, so it's not that easy to just know the measurement. I honestly don't even know what 1/16 of an inch looks like. I am from Canada. We use centimeters. So for example, you'll know you're going too deep if you are bleeding a lot as you're poking yourself, or if you are seeing the ink spread under the skin already. That's called a blowout, and you're definitely going too deep if you're seeing that. So just keep those things in mind. It's definitely better to poke lighter as you go, or poke lighter and do more layers than it is to poke harder and just do a few layers. So somebody asked me how many layers I go over the tattoo. So for stick and poke, you're usually going to be doing a few passes, which means you'll tattoo a line or something, and then you'll tattoo the same line again, and then you'll do it again. So I usually do 3 to 5. It depends on the skin. Everyone's skin is different and takes ink differently. So if the skin is taking ink really quickly, it can be up to 3 layers, and then if it's skin that's taking the ink a little bit slower, it can be up to 5. So it just kind of depends. But what I do for that is I'll do a section of the tattoo and I will go over it 3 times and I'll finish it and then I'll move on. So somebody asked how often I use the tattoo needles. So you can only use tattoo needles once. You can't clean them and reuse them. They're single use, they're sterilized, they come in a sterilized package, and once you open it, you're done with that, and then you put it into a sharps container. So in my other video, where I'm actually tattooing this on myself, I use this lotion before putting the stencil on, and you can get lotions like that where it just makes the stencil stick and stay. I used to use that. Someone asked about that, but now what I actually use is just green soap. Someone asked how you use green soap. So yeah, you mix green soap with distilled water, and then it just creates this super gentle solution that you can use to clean the tattoo after, wipe the excess ink away. I use it, I'll put some on the skin after sterilizing the skin, and then that's how I'll put my stencils on now, because that works just as well as those lotions that tattoo shops sell. So yeah, I use green soap for cleaning and putting the stencil on. Someone asked the difference between using thicker and thinner needles. For the needles, there are different sizes. So needles, tattoo needles are actually, they're not one needle with it's thick or thin. It's a needle with multiple prongs on the end. So there's 3 prongs at the end. There can be 9 prongs at the end, 18. And so that will determine the size of the line that you get. I used to pretty much religiously, when I was just starting out, use 3 RLs, which was a super thin needle. There were 3 little needles on the end, or 3 prongs. So that would create super thin lines, and I was actually using that type of needle for tattoos where I wanted the lines to be thicker. So that's a mistake. Don't do that. It's just creating more work for yourself, and it will come out less clean looking than if you just use the correct size needle. So now I use 7 RLs, which is 7 little prongs at the ends of the needle, which creates a decent sized line. That's actually what I used for this. I used a 7 RL. And then also for the size of the needle, if you're using a thicker needle compared to a thinner needle, for the thinner needles, you don't have to put as much pressure when you're poking into the skin, because it's easier to put something thin into your skin, which sounds really gross, but yeah, it's easier to poke and get to the layer you need to with a thinner needle than it is with a thicker needle. So for the thicker needle, you just want to put more pressure when you're tattooing, but you don't, like, that doesn't mean you have to put the needle thicker into your, or deeper into your skin, if that makes sense. And then my sister actually asked a question under this video about, she asked, can you please do tutorial about making bacon? So it's very relevant to the video about stick and pokes that I did and teaching people how to do that. So I can definitely, I'll do a tutorial on making bacon in the future. So another question that was asked was different skin types and body locations in tattooing. So for skin types, when I'm tattooing, like, I never expect a certain kind of skin or like a standard skin type. They're all different. You can, like, I can be tattooing the same person into like very close locations on their body, and like the one spot it will be super easy to tattoo and the ink will take really quickly. Then an inch away I'll do another tattoo and the ink will take so slowly. So it just depends on the person. Never expect for a tattoo to be quick because you never know what type of skin you're gonna get. But yeah, all skin's different and that's okay. And then for body locations, I know that the inner arm, like here, that's a like fattier skin, so that's usually a spot that takes longer to tattoo and you have to be more delicate. Hands, of course, the ink fades a lot faster on the hands, so just expect to be doing more touch-ups. Somebody asked about keeping a consistent pressure as you tattoo, which I think is something that I learned as I did more tattoos. My first tattoo is definitely like completely blown out. The lines I did with a 3RL, which I don't, like, it shocks me to this day to see how thick those lines are, even though I was using such a tiny needle. So for blowouts, this person wanted to know about blowouts and scarring. I think that for scarring, it usually happens if you poke too deep and it bleeds and just scabs and falls off and you just see like a faint scar. So you're poking too hard. And then for blowouts, the ink, it spreads underneath the skin. Sometimes blowouts are unavoidable, but from poking too hard, if you are poking too hard, you might actually be able to see the blowout happening right away, so you know to stop and maybe ease up on the pressure. But yeah, just like learning to keep a very consistent pressure as you go definitely comes with patience and time and practice. So that is pretty much it. Those were most of the questions that I got. If you have any other questions, let me know, and if I know the answer or if I have any information on that, I can try to answer them for you. Send me any stick and pokes that you do, but make sure that you're doing them safely. All the disclaimer stuff. Here's my Instagram. I post my tattoos that I do there also. So if you want to see those as I do them, follow me there. But yeah, I hope this helped